Anyway, um, I met my other puppy because I have been crying today. I don't cry, but you understand after this story why I've been crying. I'm a private investigator for the state of West Virginia. I'm very good at my job. I love my job. And I do a very good job for my clients. And I charge considerably more than most. Okay, not considerably, a lot more than most private investigators do, at least in West Virginia. But I don't do it because I want to be a multimillionaire. I do it because I use the money to be able to help the families that need it, that can't afford to pay me, and work pro bono. And I do that a lot. Over 50% of my cases I do for free. But I took on a pretty big undertaking 3 months ago for the governor of West Virginia, Patrick Morphy, in his office. I have a friend who is a caseworker for Child Protective Services for West Virginia. And she called me one day crying and told me that if I didn't do something, that it wasn't a question of if a child died in their care, it was just a question of when. Unfortunately, I didn't come in time before that happened. And 2 months ago, it happened. A 4-year-old little girl did die in our foster care system. Okay. Well, I was supposed to start with 2 offices and work with them. But before I even could walk into the front door of either one of those offices, statewide CPS problems literally blew up in my face that I just couldn't ignore and I had to deal with. It got so bad that for the last 2.5 of the 3 months that I've been on this case pro bono, I've been working directly with a federal FBI agent out of the Huntington field office. We ran into a problem that was so big and so serious that we truly believed that we had a human trafficking ring being ran out of West Virginia using foster kids. We only found out about 2 weeks ago. Thank God that wasn't the case. It wasn't that serious, but it was still really, really bad what we found out. The average number of children that are flown out of state by Child Protective Services is between 5 and 10 a year. West Virginia had 179 last year flown out. And it was because we just had way more kids than we had foster care homes. Okay. The problem with this is these were not permanent removals in the vast majority of cases. They were temporary removals, and yet the parents have no access to the kids. They can't visit them like they're supposed to. They're supposed to be getting them back. How can they get them back when we send them out of state and we're not even bringing them back to the state? So that was one serious issue that I knew I was going to have to fix. But that's not what's got me upset today, and the situation that I got to talk about that may cause me to break down again. So far, in the last 3 months, these are some of the things that I have found working on this case with the foster parent system, the CPS. This is not CPS itself that I'm talking about right now. This is the foster care parents. In the last 3 months, I had to rescue a child that was literally being put in a locked dog cage at night to sleep. There was, if anybody's familiar with a dog cage, it's just got a plain metal bottom to it. That's what that child was laying on. No cushion, no pillow, just the cold metal of the dog cage. They gave him a pillow that was so thin, it didn't have any fluffing in it, and the blanket they gave them was no thicker than a sheet. So I found that, and thank God I got that child rescued. And in the process of getting those parents prosecuted. That one was really bad. But I have ran into, so far, over 10 cases of foster parents that have the refrigerator and every cabinet door padlocked to make sure that the kids don't have any access to food. Keeping in mind that these foster parents are being paid as much as $1,500 a month per child, and some of them are taking in 5 and 6 kids. And what I've learned is these foster care parents, the vast majority of them, don't give a damn about these kids. They just want the check. That's it. Don't get me wrong. There's some phenomenal foster care parents. I don't want people to think that every foster care parent is horrible. They're not. Some foster care parents are amazing. But unfortunately, they're the exception and not the rule. There is far more bad than there is good for what I've seen so far. And we're at a point where we have to look at the entire picture. West Virginia had an audit done on their Child Protective Services, and it was released last month. In 2024, out of all the complaints for abuse, whether it be sexual, physical, mental, emotional abuse to any child for any reason, West Virginia Child Protective Services only investigated 9% of all those cases. Yes, you heard that right. 91% of all abuse cases went completely uninvestigated in the state of West Virginia in 2024. So, my question is this. If they're only investigating 9%, and they're still flying over 100 kids a year out of state to other foster care homes because they say we don't have enough foster care homes, where the hell are we going to put the other 91% of these kids that do need help? My friend, the caseworker that reported this to me originally, admitted something to me. She said, Jeff, we do intentionally leave kids in the homes with their biological parents that we know are being physically or sexually abused. And I lost it. I was like, why in the hell would you do that? And she was very honest with me. And she said, because the foster care system is actually worse. She said, we will accept a certain amount of abuse to a child from their biological parents because putting them in the foster care system is actually worse on the child most of the time than the situation that we're taking them out of. That was disheartening. It absolutely destroyed me, the thought of it. But I did understand where she was coming from. So, the reason why I'm leaving this message is this. Look around at your state's Child Protective Services departments and your foster care system. I don't believe this is a West Virginia problem. I believe this is a national problem. We have got to fix our Child Protective Services in this country so that these kids who have already been through hell aren't being put through hell every day in addition to that because of the homes that we are putting them into. We are supposed to be protecting these kids, putting them into a safe environment that they didn't get from their homes where their biological parents lived. Not putting them in more danger and in worse conditions than they were. I found a little girl who was 11 years old and had been starved so bad she weighed 21 pounds. Thank God she was still alive, got her to the help. But she would have died within months if I hadn't got her. So that's made this worthwhile, and it'll be worthwhile, and I'll keep doing it until I'm done, even if I don't get paid another dime for the rest of my career. Our kids have to come first, and I will always put our kids before money. And I hope that other people that are in my position that can do things like this look at it the same way. Thanks.